The lecture hall smelled like recycled air and cheap coffee. Maya Chen sat 3 rows from the front, stylus moving across her tablet, as Professor Krell droned on about interstellar trade regulations. Around her, 200 cadets from 40 different species scribbled notes, tapped screens, or fought to stay awake. Just another Tuesday at the Galactic Military Academy on Station Helix 7. Maya's hand cramped. She flexed her fingers, suppressing a yawn. Trade law wasn't exactly thrilling, but it was required for her Xena diplomacy track. She joined the academy to build bridges, not burn them. Her parents had raised her on stories of first contact, of humanity's stumbling entrance onto the galactic stage 50 years ago. She wanted to be part of the solution, not another trigger-happy grunt. Miss Chen, perhaps you could enlighten us. Professor Krell's 6 eyes swiveled toward her, his chilasser eye clicking impatiently. Maya glanced at her notes. Article 17 of the Consortium Trade Charter prohibits weapons-grade materials from crossing neutral zones without proper documentation and inspection protocols. Correct, though uninspired. Corell's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. Now if anyone can explain the exception clause. The doors burst open. Silence crashed over the room. Like a wave, every head turned. Maya's stomach dropped. General Vorkoth stood in the entrance, his 7-foot frame filling the doorway. His species, the Krothori, were built for war. Crimson scales covered his body like armor plating, and his yellow eyes gleamed with predatory intelligence. Behind him stood 4 honor guards, each carrying plasma rifles that hummed with barely contained energy. Professor Krell straightened, antennae flattening against his skull. General, we are in the middle of instruction. If you require something from the Academy, proper channels exist for such requests. Vorkoth's laugh rumbled like distant thunder. He strode down the center aisle, boots striking the floor with rhythmic precision. Students scrambled out of his path. A Valorian girl knocked over her water bottle in her haste to move. Channels, protocols, bureaucracy. Vorkoth's accent was thick, each word clipped and sharp. Your academy preaches unity, yet you produce weaklings. Diplomats who smile and nod while real warriors defend your borders. Maya's jaw tightened. She kept her eyes on her tablet, but her hand had stopped moving. The Krothori Empire has honored the Consortium's training program for 3 cycles, Vorkoth continued, circling the lecture pit like a shark. We have watched, we have observed, we have grown disappointed. Krell's voice took on a brittle edge. If you have concerns about the curriculum, submit them through the appropriate oversight committee. Disrupting classes achieves nothing.
Nothing? Vorkoth stopped mid-stride, turning to face the professor. I achieve clarity. I achieve truth. Your students hide behind books and simulations. They know nothing of real combat, real sacrifice, real strength.
This is an academic institution, not a gladiatorial arena. Krell snapped. Perhaps that is the problem. Vorkoth's gaze swept across the cadets. Maya felt it pass over her, cold and assessing. The galaxy is not a classroom. Professor, when enemies strike, your pretty theories will not save you. Only warriors can do that. A Threxian boy, near the front, raised his hand tentatively. General, with respect, not all of us are training for combat roles. Some of us are engineers, medics, strategists. Excuses. Vorkoth dismissed him with a wave. Specialization breeds weakness. A true soldier is complete, capable, unbreakable. Maya's stylus snapped between her fingers. The crack echoed in the tense silence.
Vorkoth's head turned. Those yellow eyes locked onto her. You disagree, human?
Every instinct screamed at her to look away, to apologize, to disappear into the crowd. Instead, Maya met his gaze. I think strength comes in many forms, General. Not all of them involve violence. Violence. Barkov pronounced the word like a prayer. You speak as though it is something shameful, something to be avoided. Your species learned differently, did they not? Your history is drenched in blood, thousands of wars before you even left your planet, which is exactly why we value peace now, Maya said, her voice steady despite the ice sliding down her spine. We learned from our mistakes, or you grew soft. Varkoth descended the steps toward her row. Students pressed themselves against the walls, creating a path. Tell me, human, have you ever held a weapon, faced an enemy who wished you dead? I'm training to prevent those situations from happening in the first place.
Noble. His tone suggested anything but. And when prevention fails, when diplomacy crumbles and enemies storm your gates, what then? Will you debate them to death?
Scattered nervous laughter rippled through the room. Maya's cheeks burned, but she refused to back down. I'll find another way. There's always another way.
Now.
Barkov stopped directly in front of her desk. Up close he was even more massive, his bulk blocking out the overhead lights. There's survival, and there is extinction. Everything else is fantasy. Professor Krell had been trying to edge toward the emergency alert panel, but Vorkoth's guards shifted position, cutting off his route. The professor's antennae trembled. General, this behavior is unacceptable. I am invoking Academy Protocol 7. You must leave immediately, or I will call security. Call them. Vorkoth didn't bother looking at him. His attention remained fixed on Maya. I came here to issue a challenge. A demonstration. Your academy claims it produces the finest defenders in the consortium. I believe it produces cowards hiding behind regulations. What kind of challenge? Maya heard herself ask. A simple one. Single combat. Any cadet in this room volunteers to face one of my warriors in the training arena. Full contact. Live weapons. Victory by submission or incapacitation. If your champion wins, the Krethari Empire will issue a formal apology and increase our financial contributions to the Academy. We will acknowledge your methods as valid. And if we lose, Corel demanded.
Then you admit your weakness. You acknowledge that your pretty philosophies are worthless. You restructure your curriculum to emphasize combat training above all else. Vorkoth's smile was all teeth. You let real warriors teach your students what strength truly means.
The silence that followed felt suffocating. Maya glanced around the lecture hall. 200 cadets, and not one of them moved, not one of them spoke. Fear hung in the air like smoke. No volunteers. Varkoth's voice dripped with contempt. How disappointing. Perhaps I should lower the stakes. Perhaps instead of one warrior, I send my weakest recruit, a fresh trainee. Surely one of you brave cadets can defeat a novice Krathari soldier. Still nothing. Pathetic. Varkoth turned to leave. Your academy is a waste of resources. I will recommend to the Consortium Council that humanity's presence here be reconsidered. Your species contributes nothing to galactic defense, except empty words and worthless sentiment. Maya's hands clenched. Every muscle in her body screamed at her to stay quiet, to let him go, to survive the day and move on. But something deeper stirred, something primal and stubborn that her parents had tried to temper with education and patience. Send anyone. The words left her mouth before she could stop them. Vorkoth froze. Slowly, deliberately, he turned back around.
What did you say?
Maya stood. Her legs felt like water, but she managed to keep her voice level. I said, send anyone, Any warrior you choose, I'll face them.
Maya, no, Professor Krell's voice cracked. Sit down immediately. You are not authorized to—
She volunteers. Varkuth's eyes gleamed with something between amusement and hunger. How refreshing. One cadet with courage among 200 cowards. What is your name? Human? Elia Chen, 3rd year. Xeno diplomacy track. The diplomat. He laughed, the sound echoing off the walls. Even better. Very well, Maya Chen. Tomorrow at dawn, you will face my champion in the academy arena. Full weapons loadout. Your choice of equipment. Standard combat rules apply. Do you accept these terms? Her mouth had gone dry. She swallowed hard. I accept. Excellent. Risorokoth gestured to his guards. Prepare the arena. Inform command that we will have our demonstration after all. He paused at the door, looking back at Maya. I hope you said your goodbyes, diplomat. My champion has never lost. Not once in 300 battles. The door slammed shut behind him. The lecture hall exploded into chaos. Students surged toward Maya, some shouting questions, others looking horrified. Krell was already on his communicator, his voice rapid and panicked as he reported to administration. Through the noise, Maya heard a single voice, clearly. You just signed your death warrant. She turned. Jace Rivera, a 4th-year combat specialist, stood with his arms crossed. His expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes held something that might have been respect. Maybe, Maya said quietly, but at least I didn't sit there and let him insult all of us without pushing back. There's a difference between bravery and stupidity. Jace moved closer, lowering his voice. The Krothori don't do anything halfway. If Varkoth says his champion is undefeated, he means it. You understand, you're going to get destroyed out there, right? Best case scenario, you end up in medical for a month. Worst case, you don't end up anywhere. Then, I guess I need to train. In one night, Jace's laugh was bitter. No amount of training is going to prepare you for what's coming. The Krothari are bred for combat, enhanced from birth. Their reflexes, their strength, their endurance, everything about them is optimized for killing. You're a 3rd-year diplomat who probably hasn't fired a weapon since basic wars. Maya didn't argue because he was right. She'd barely scraped through combat fundamentals, focusing instead on negotiation tactics and cultural studies. Her shooting scores were mediocre at best. Her hand-to-hand skills were worse. So what do you suggest? She asked. Jace studied her for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression.
Meet me at Training Bay 7 in 1 hour. Bring comfortable clothes and prepare to learn fast. I can't make you a warrior overnight, but maybe I can keep you alive long enough to avoid complete humiliation.
Why would you help me? Because somebody needs to wipe that smug look off Varkoth's face. Jace's grin was sharp and fierce, and if a diplomat is crazy enough to try, the least I can do is make sure you go down swinging. The next hour crawled by like molasses. Maya sat through the remainder of the lecture in a daze, Professor Krell's words washing over her without meaning. When the session finally ended, students mobbed her with questions, advice, and warnings. Most thought she was insane. A few looked at her like she'd grown a second head. One person stayed quiet. Leo Vars, a Silvarin exchange student, waited until the crowd dispersed before approaching. Her skin shimmered with the characteristic blue-silver tone of her species, and her large eyes held depths that seemed ancient despite her youth. That was either the bravest or most foolish thing I have witnessed in my time here, Lara said softly. Her voice had a musical quality that made every word sound like poetry. I am uncertain which. Join the club, Maya muttered.
May I offer something?
Lyra reached into her bag and pulled out a small crystalline object. It pulsed with faint internal light. This is a Sylvaran meditation focus. It will not help you fight, but it may help you center yourself. Clear thinking has won battles that strength could not. Maya accepted the crystal. It was warm to the touch, vibrating with a gentle rhythm. Thank you. Do not thank me yet. Survive tomorrow. Then we will speak of gratitude. Laura's expression was unreadable. The Quathari respect only power, but power takes many forms. Remember that. Training Bay 7 was empty when Maya arrived. She changed quickly, pulling on the standard academy workout gear. Her reflection in the mirrored wall showed a woman who looked far too small, too soft, too ordinary to face a Quathari warrior. Stop psyching yourself out, she spun. Jace had entered silently, carrying 2 practice blades and a datapad. He tossed one of the blades to her. She caught it awkwardly. First lesson, he said. Confidence. If you walk into that arena looking like a victim, you'll be treated like one. Vorkoth's champion will read your body language. They'll know where you're weak before the fight even starts. I am weak, Maya said bluntly. Compared to a Quathari warrior, I'm basically a child.
Wrong.
Jace activated his blade, the training edge glowing blue.
They're different. There's a gap between weak and different.
Humans survived on a death world. Our ancestors fought predators with nothing but sharp rocks and bad attitudes. That instinct is still in you. We just need to wake it up. For the next several hours, Jace drilled her relentlessly, not in complex techniques or flashy moves, but in fundamentals, footwork, balance, breathing, how to fall without breaking bones, how to roll with impacts instead of taking them head on, how to recognize openings and exploit them. Quathari are strong, but strength has limits, Jace explained, as Maya struggled through her 100th dodge drill. They rely on overwhelming force. Hit hard, hit fast, end fights quickly. That's their doctrine. So you do the opposite. You stay mobile. You make them work for every strike. You tire them out. Pirata Quathari. Maya gasped, sweat streaming down her face. Have you seen them? They don't get tired. Everything gets tired. Everything has limits. You just need to find them. He demonstrated a quick sidestep. Blade flashing. Watch. They telegraph their heavy attacks. They have to. That much mass moving, that fast, requires commitment. Once they commit, they're vulnerable for half a second. That's your window. They trained until Maya's muscles screamed, and her vision blurred. Finally, Jace called a halt. That's enough. More will just make you sloppy. He handed her a water bottle. Get some rest. Tomorrow is going to be brutal. Maya drained the bottle, her hand shaking. Jace, I need to know something. Do you actually think I have a chance? He was quiet for a long time. Honestly, no. The odds are against you. Way against you. But I've seen underdogs pull off miracles before, and I've seen overconfident champions make stupid mistakes. If you're smart, if you're lucky, and if you can keep your head when things go bad, maybe you survive. Maybe you even score a point or two before it's over. That's not exactly inspiring. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to prepare you. Jace's expression softened slightly, but for what it's worth, I'm glad somebody stood up to that arrogant lizard. Win or lose, you already accomplished something today. You showed everyone in that room that humans don't roll over just because someone scary shows up. Maya nodded slowly. Thank you for helping. Don't thank me until you're still breathing tomorrow. He headed toward the exit, then paused. One more thing. Vorkoth, said his champion has never lost. That's true. But he didn't say his champion has never been hurt. Keep that in mind. Sleep refused to come. Maya lay in her quarters, staring at the ceiling, running through everything Jace had taught her. Footwork, breathing. Watch for the telegraph. Exploit the commitment. Stay mobile. Her communicator chimed. A message from her parents, light years away, on Earth. They'd heard somehow. Their words were worried, loving, supportive. They believed in her. They were proud of her courage. She didn't answer. What could she say? That their daughter had volunteered for a beating she couldn't possibly win. That pride wouldn't heal broken bones. Dawn came too quickly. Maya, dressed in the standard combat gear Jace had left for her, light armor plates, over flexible mesh, boots with magnetic grips, a utility belt with a handful of tools she barely knew how to use. She selected her weapon carefully, a mid-weight plasma blade, balanced for speed rather than power. The walk to the arena felt like a funeral march. Crowds had gathered despite the early hour. Word had spread through the academy like wildfire. Maya spotted Professor Krell in the stands, looking pale and anxious. Lyra sat nearby, her expression serene. Jace stood at the arena entrance, arms crossed. "Ready?" he asked quietly. "Oh, bid. Fear keeps you sharp." He grabbed her shoulder briefly. "Remember everything. Stay alive. That's the only goal that matters." The arena doors opened. Maya stepped into the combat circle. The ground was hard-packed earth, mixed with synthetic material, designed to absorb blood. Overhead, force fields shimmered, containing the space. Weapon racks lined the walls, offering backup options if her blade failed. Across the arena, another door opened. Volkoth strode out first, his honor guard flanking him. He moved to the observation platform, satisfaction radiating from every gesture. Then came the champion. Maya's breath caught. She'd expected another Krethari, someone like Volkoth, massive and intimidating. Instead, the figure that entered was smaller, leaner. Female, she realized, noting the slightly different scale patterns and facial structure, but no less dangerous. The Krethari woman moved with liquid grace, each step controlled and deliberate. Her armor was minimal, just enough to meet regulation standards. Scars marked her exposed scales, telling stories of countless victories. Her eyes locked onto Maya with the focused intensity of a hunter spotting prey. "Combatants, ready positions." The referee's voice boomed through the arena. Maya raised her blade, settling into the stance Jace had drilled into her. Balanced, centered, ready. The Krethari champion simply stood there, weapon lowered, expression almost bored. "Begin." The champion moved, not attacked, not charged, simply moved, closing half the distance between them in 2 strides. Maya backpedaled, trying to maintain space. The champion followed at the same pace, matching her movements perfectly. "Testing me," Maya realized, watching how I react. She tried a probing strike, a quick thrust aimed at center mass. The champion deflected it with minimal effort, her blade moving just enough to redirect the attack. No counterattack followed. More testing. Maya circled left. The champion mirrored her. They moved around the arena in a careful dance, neither committing to a real engagement. The crowd murmured with confusion. Then the champion attacked. The strike came from nowhere, impossibly fast. Maya barely got her blade up in time, the impact sending shockwaves through her arms. She stumbled backward, balance compromised. The champion pressed the advantage. 3 strikes in rapid succession, each one perfectly placed to drive Maya further off balance. She blocked 2. The third slipped past her guard, and scored a glancing hit on her shoulder armor.
Warning lights flashed.
Minor damage, not enough to end the fight, but enough to show how outmatched she was. Maya rolled away, creating distance. Her shoulder throbbed. Blood trickled from a shallow cut, where the blade's edge had found skin. The champion stood at the center of the arena, waiting, patient.
"You fight adequately for a diplomat," she said. Her voice was surprisingly soft, almost kind. "But this is pointless. Submit. Accept defeat. There is no shame in acknowledging superior skill."
Maya's jaw tightened. Not happening. Stubborn. A human trait. I have learned. The champion's head tilted slightly. "My name is Krenix. I tell you this because you deserve to know who defeats you. May your ancestors receive you with honor." She attacked again. This time, Maya was ready. She didn't try to block. Instead, she used Chase's training, sidestepping at the last possible moment. Krenix's blade whistled past her face, missing by centimeters. There, the commitment. The half-second vulnerability. Maya struck, her blade flashing toward Krenix's exposed ribs. Krenix twisted, somehow moving fast enough to avoid the attack, despite her momentum. Her counter came instantly, a spinning strike that Maya barely ducked. They separated again, both breathing hard now. Krenix's expression had changed. The boredom was gone, replaced by something sharper, interest.
"You have been trained," she acknowledged. "Recently, I think, someone taught you to recognize patterns."
Someone smart, Maya agreed. It will not be enough. The next exchange was brutal. Krenix abandoned all pretense of testing and came at Maya with everything, strike after strike, each one powerful enough to shatter bones if it connected cleanly. Maya gave ground, dodging and deflecting frantically. Her arms felt like lead. Her legs screamed with exhaustion, but she stayed upright. She stayed in the fight. Krenix drove her across the arena, backing her toward the wall. Maya's heel hit the barrier. Nowhere left to retreat. The champion's blade came down in a devastating overhead strike. Maya dropped flat. The blade smashed into the force field where her head had been, sending sparks cascading. Maya rolled between Krenix's legs, coming up behind her. She lashed out with her blade, scoring a solid hit on the champion's calf. Krenix roared. Blood welled from the wound, dark against her crimson scales. First blood, the crowd erupted. Maya scrambled away, gasping. She'd hurt the undefeated champion, actually hurt her. It wasn't much, barely a flesh wound, but it was something. Krenix turned slowly. Her eyes blazed with an emotion Maya couldn't quite read. Anger, respect, both impressive. The champion said, "No one has drawn my blood in 6 cycles. You have earned something today. Little diplomat, my full attention." The temperature in the arena seemed to drop. Krenix's entire demeanor shifted. The patient hunter disappeared, replaced by something primal and terrifying. She moved differently now, faster, more aggressive. Her attacks came in combinations. Maya couldn't follow. Within seconds, Maya's blade was ripped from her hands. A kick to her stomach sent her sprawling. She tried to rise, but Krenix was already there. Blade pressed to her throat. "Yield," the champion commanded. Maya's mind raced. This was it. She'd lost. The fight was over, but something Lyra had said echoed in her thoughts. Power takes many forms. "No," Maya rasped.
Krenix's eyes narrowed. "You cannot win. Your weapon is gone. I have defeated you. Acknowledge this."
Maybe you defeated the fighter. Maya's hand moved slowly toward her utility belt. "But you haven't defeated the diplomat yet."
She triggered the flash grenade. Blinding light flooded the arena. Krenix recoiled. Momentarily disoriented, Maya rolled away, her vision swimming with after images. She grabbed a backup weapon from the nearby rack. Not a blade this time. Something else. Something Jace had mentioned during training. A neural disruptor. Short range, non-lethal. Designed for crowd control. Krennic's vision cleared just as Maya fired. The pulse caught the champion square in the chest. Her muscles locked up. Nervous system overloaded. She crashed to the ground. Body convulsing. Maya stood over her. Disruptor aimed at her head. The arena fell silent. Yield, Maya said quietly. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Krennic's hand slapped the ground 3 times. The traditional signal of surrender. The referee's voice cracked with disbelief. Victory to Cadets Chen. The crowd lost its collective mind. Maya lowered the disruptor, her hand shaking so badly she nearly dropped it. She'd won. Somehow, impossibly, she'd actually won. Krennic struggled to her feet, the neural disruption fading. She stared at Maya with an expression that might have been fury or admiration or both. Then she did something Maya never expected. She bowed. A warrior must adapt, Krennic said, her voice carrying across the suddenly quiet arena. You understood this. You used every advantage available. Clever, ruthless, effective. She straightened, meeting Maya's eyes. I acknowledge my defeat. You have. The explosion cut her off. The arena's eastern wall erupted in flames. Force fields flickered and died. Debris rained down as something massive tore through the structural supports. Through the smoke and chaos emerged figures in black armor, weapons primed and lethal. Not Krathari, something else entirely. The lead figure raised their rifle, aiming directly at the observation platform where Varkoth stood. General Varkoth, a distorted voice, called out through a speaker system. You are under arrest for war crimes against the Reach Collective. Surrender immediately, or we will open fire on everyone in this arena. Varkoth's honor guards moved to protect him, but the attackers were already fanning out, covering all exits. Maya counted at least 20 of them, all heavily armed, professional, military, and utterly ruthless. Varkoth's laugh echoed through the ruined arena. The Reach Collective. How predictable. Tell me, did you truly believe you could capture me with a mere strike team? We don't need to capture you, the leader replied. We just need you dead. They opened fire. Part 2. Chaos consumed the arena in seconds. Energy bolts streaked through the air, cutting down Varkoth's honor guards before they could properly return fire. Students screamed, scrambling for exits that didn't exist anymore. The force fields were down. Nothing contained the violence now. Maya dove behind a weapon rack as plasma fire scorched the ground where she'd been standing. Her ears rang from the explosion. Smoke stung her eyes. Through the haze, she saw Krennic moving with predatory speed, her earlier injury forgotten. The Krithori champion had retrieved her blade and was already engaging the nearest attacker. 2 more explosions rocked the structure. Sections of the upper stands collapsed, sending metal and bodies tumbling downward. Maya spotted Professor Krell trying to shield several students with his own body, his carapace already cracked and bleeding. Everyone down. Jace's voice cut through the pandemonium. He'd appeared at the arena floor somehow, rifle in hand, laying down covering fire. Get behind cover and stay there. But there wasn't enough cover. The arena had been designed for combat exhibitions, not warfare. Students huddled behind pillars and debris, easy targets for trained killers. The Reach Collective attackers moved with mechanical efficiency, clearing sectors methodically. They weren't here for hostages, This was an assassination with acceptable collateral damage. Maya's training screamed at her to hide, to survive, to wait for security forces, but security wasn't coming fast enough. Bodies were already littering the ground. She recognized some faces: a Valorian girl from her ethics seminar, a Threxian boy who'd shared his notes when she'd missed class. Gone. All gone. Something hot and terrible ignited in her chest. She grabbed the neural disruptor she dropped, checking its charge. Still had several shots left. She also snagged a plasma pistol from the weapon rack and 2 thermal grenades from a fallen guard. Definitely not standard diplomat equipment. What are you doing? A hand grabbed her arm. Lyra had appeared beside her, the Sylvan's usual serenity replaced by stark fear. We need to evacuate. Can't evacuate with killers blocking the exits. Maya pointed toward the eastern breach. If we can collapse that entrance, seal them in, maybe buy time for help to arrive. You're insane. They will shoot you. Probably. Maya pressed the plasma pistol into Lyra's hands. But I'm already having a really bad day. So what's a little more trauma? Stay here. Cover anyone who tries to run. She moved before Lyra could argue, sprinting between cover points with her heart hammering. An attacker spotted her and swung his rifle around. Maya didn't hesitate. She threw one of the thermal grenades. Her aim was terrible, but luck compensated. The grenade landed near a support column. The explosion had weakened. The blast finished the job, bringing down a section of wall directly onto the attacker. He vanished under tons of rubble. Target the human, the Reach commander shouted. She's armed. 3 soldiers converged on her position. Maya fired the neural disruptor blindly, the pulse catching one of them. He went down convulsing. The other 2 split up, trying to flank her. A blade appeared from nowhere, severing one attacker's weapon arm at the elbow. Krenix materialized like a crimson ghost, her movements so fast Maya barely tracked them. The Krethori champion gutted the second soldier before he could scream. Go! Krenix snapped at Maya, blood dripping from her scales. Collapse the breach. I will handle these insects. Maya ran. The eastern entrance loomed ahead, partially blocked by debris, but still wide enough for reinforcements to enter, or for the attackers to escape. She needed to seal it completely. Structural integrity was compromised. She could see where the explosion had fractured support beams. A few more grenades in the right places would bring the whole section down, except she only had 1 grenade left. Looking for these, Jace appeared beside her, breathing hard, his armor scorched. He held a bandolier of explosive charges. Found them on one of their demo guys. Figured you might need them. Maya grabbed the bandolier. Cover me. With pleasure. She moved along the wall, placing charges at key structural points, while Jace laid down suppressing fire. Engineering wasn't her specialty, but she'd taken enough basic classes to understand stress points and load distribution. The arena's builders had designed it to withstand impacts, but only from inside. Hit it from the right angles, externally, and the supports would fold like paper. The plasma bolt burned past her face, close enough to singe hair. Maya didn't stop. She set the last charge and initiated the timer. 30 seconds.
Fall back,
She shouted. They ran. Behind them, the Reach soldiers realized what was happening too late. Several tried to reach the charges, but Krenix intercepted them with brutal efficiency. The Krethori champion fought like a demon, her blade a crimson blur. The charges detonated in sequence. The eastern wall collapsed inward with a roar like a dying god. Tons of metal and stone crashed down, sealing the breach completely. Dust and smoke billowed outward, temporarily blinding everyone. When it cleared, The arena was a tomb. Half the Reach force was trapped outside. The other half was sealed inside with their intended victims. But now the tactical situation had changed. The attackers couldn't call for reinforcements or escape. They were committed to a fight they were rapidly losing. Verkoth hadn't been idle during the chaos. The general had rallied the surviving combat cadets, organizing them into a defensive perimeter. His voice boomed across the arena, issuing orders with military precision. Whatever else he was, the Krathari understood warfare.
Pincer formation, Varkoth commanded. Drive them toward the center. Show these Reach scum what academy training produces.
The tide turned. Students who'd been cowering minutes ago now fought with desperate courage. They'd seen their friends die. Shock had transformed into rage. The Reach soldiers found themselves caught between hardened cadets and an enraged Krathari general.
Maya watched the commander realize his mistake. His force had been sized for a quick assassination, not a prolonged engagement against organized resistance. He gestured frantically to his remaining soldiers, trying to establish a defensive position.
Too late. Kronix hit them from the side like a battering ram, her blade singing. Jace and his fellow combat specialists provided covering fire, their training evident in their coordinated movements. Even Professor Kreller joined the fight, using his species' natural armor to shield students while they maneuvered. But the remaining Reach soldiers fell within minutes. The commander was the last. He stood among the bodies of his team, weapon raised, defiant to the end. Varkoth approached him slowly, deliberately, like a predator savoring the kill. You failed, the general said simply. Your superiors will be disappointed. The Reach never forgets, the commander spat. The crimes you committed against our colonies, the innocents you slaughtered, that debt remains unpaid. Others will come. Let them. Varkoth's blade flashed. The commander dropped. Silence descended over the ruined arena, broken only by groans from the wounded and the crackling of small fires. Medical teams finally broke through the sealed exits, flooding in with equipment and supplies. Security forces followed, establishing a perimeter. Maya sat down hard, her legs finally giving out. The neural disruptor slipped from nerveless fingers. Everything hurt. Her shoulder wound had reopened during the fighting. Blood soaked through her armor. Jace limped over and sat beside her. His face was pale, but he managed a weak grin. So, that was unexpected. Understatement of the century. Paya's voice came out hoarse. Are we alive? Surprisingly, yes, though I'm not entirely sure how. He gestured at the carnage surrounding them. You know, when I agreed to train you for a combat exhibition, I didn't think it would escalate into a full-scale terrorist attack.
Welcome to my life. Nothing goes according to plan.
Apparently, medics reached them, running scanners and applying emergency treatment. Maya let them work, too exhausted to protest. Around the arena, similar scenes played out. The casualty count was bad, but could have been catastrophic without the wall collapse trapping the attackers. She'd saved lives today. The realization felt surreal. Varkoth approached, his armor damaged, but his bearing unchanged. He studied Maya with those predatory yellow eyes, expression unreadable. You collapsed. The eastern entrance. Varkoth approached, his armor damaged, but his bearing unchanged. He studied Maya with those predatory yellow eyes, expression unreadable. You collapsed the eastern entrance, he said at last. That maneuver saved hundreds of lives. Maya met his gaze, pain flashing across her face, as a medic sealed the wound on her shoulder. It seemed efficient. Varkoth's mouth curved into something close to a smile. Efficiency is the purest form of warfare. He turned, his voice carrying across the shattered arena. Today, this human demonstrated adaptability, resolve, and tactical intelligence under extreme pressure, qualities my people respect. Murmurs rippled through the remaining Cathari warriors. Several struck their chests in a gesture of acknowledgement. Burkov looked back at Maya. You challenged my beliefs yesterday. Today, you shattered them. Humanity is not weak. It is dangerous, in ways we underestimated.
Maya swallowed. Does that mean the apology still stands?
A low chuckle escaped him. More than that, I will personally testify before the Consortium Council. The Cathari Empire will not only fund this academy, we will defend it. His eyes hardened. And I will answer for the accusations made against me in a proper forum. Security officers escorted Varkoth away, not in chains, but under formal custody. The Reach Collective's message had landed. So had the truth. As the arena emptied, Liara knelt beside Maya, placing the crystalline focus back into her palm. You centered the chaos, she said softly. That is rare. Jace crouched on Maya's other side. So, diplomat, he said with a crooked grin. Still think violence is never the answer. Maya huffed weakly. I think it's a terrible answer. She looked at the ruins, the medics, the survivors helping one another. But sometimes, it's the only language monsters understand. Weeks later, the footage spread across the galaxy. A human student, standing alone. An alien general, demanding submission. A quiet voice, answering. Send anyone. Applications to the academy tripled. Human enlistment surged. Diplomatic channels opened where they had been closed for decades. Maya Chen recovered slowly. She declined medals, refused interviews. When asked why she fought, her answer was always the same: because someone had to stand up. On Helix 7, a new course appeared in the curriculum: conflict resolution through strength and strategy. The first lecture hall filled quickly, and in the front row sat a human girl, taking notes, ready for whatever the galaxy demanded next.